Hello, welcome back. This is Miniature Mike. I'm going to continue my series redoing my tier list videos for my sets that I did when I first started doing this channel. And I've done the first 3 sets, and I'm going to do set number 4 and jump right into doing Universe. So first things first, we got is the Clone Trooper. So I think with the Clone Trooper, I ultimately decided to just put them in C tier. They're not terrible. They're not really great either. They just do 20 damage, have a lot of commander effects that can help them out and stuff, but overall, I've never been all that impressed with these guys, so I'm going to leave them down there. So the Clone Trooper on Bark Speeder, this is a tough one because it has strafe attack and flight. But then, from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe you can use strafe attack and accelerate at the same time. At least I'm pretty sure you can't. The nice thing about this is that you have a very big base, so you can use strafe attack, hit a lot of people, and that could be pretty good, but it still costs quite a bit. I don't think I feel like necessarily too crazy about this thing necessarily, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's too bad, but it's also something that's not super remarkable either. I think it's probably still C tier, but I'll put it above the Clone Trooper. I'll put it below the Clone Trooper. Clone Trooper is just nice utility character, but I think for me, there's a few things just kind of drawing this thing back, but it's not, I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's necessarily D tier, but it's an interesting thing to deal with, but the fact that it's so big is both good and bad in some ways. So let's take a look at the Elite Clone Trooper. I also don't think these things are too impressive in my opinion. I'm going to do maybe a low B tier on this. Like, it'll probably be the very bottom of B tier. When I did this guy originally, let's say I had this in C tier. I think the thing with the Elite Clone Trooper you have to keep in mind is the fact that the stats are fine. It's similar stats to like an Elite Stormtrooper. Actually, I think it's a little bit worse. Same cost, but it does have access, of course, to Bakara and things. And it's a little... I'm actually going to bump this down to the top of C tier. The reason is it's pretty much replaced by the Galactic Marine. And the Galactic Marine is something I'd put up in like high B tier or something like that. Or low A tier. Probably just B tier, actually. This guy's got to be C tier, unfortunately. That's where I had him before, so kind of no change so far from what I did before. Obi-Wan on Boga. So Obi-Wan on Boga is interesting. I think it's definitely a B tier character. It's pretty much the same thing as Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith. However, in this case, you are missing Lightsaber Assault, which stinks, and you gain Wall Climber and Speed 8. And you're a little cheaper, so it's some trade-offs. You got some great mobility. You got a little more HP, but at the end of the day, it's nothing too crazy. It's not bad, not great, but it's kind of a fun character, so I think B tier is appropriate. Battle Droids. So if you remember, I'm going to stick the Battle Droids up in B tier. I know on their paper their stats are bad, and in my original video, I put them down in D tier. Just kind of going back on how I want to do this, I think B tier is more appropriate because in the Separatists, it is a fantastic, cheap, kind of grunt unit that you can very easily modify and make really annoying to deal with. So I think for that purpose and for what they do for the Separatists, I think B tier is perfectly acceptable. So next, Darth Maul's Speeder though. So this one's a fun one. It's tricky because there's things I really like about this guy. He's got great stats. He's got great mobility. But the problem with him is he can't really ever like do that much damage in one go. Like, he can accelerate to get a treble, or you can use Charging Assault to move up and attack someone and do like 30, maybe 40 damage if you want to. So it's just really tricky. It's really, really, really tricky because you can't use Charging Assault with Lightsaber Assault. So you have a lot of powers that are interesting, but they don't really jive together wonderfully well. And that's, for me, the thing that's kind of frustrating about it. So I think I originally put this guy in A tier. I think that was way too high. I think he has a lot of potential and he's kind of fun, but at the same time, I'd much prefer to just have one of the other Darth Mauls, like any of the other Darth Mauls instead, because they're just straightforward. They have triple attack, all that. They have triple attack and just kind of get in there and do the damage, and I don't necessarily need someone zooming in and zooming out. So I'm going to actually put this guy down in B tier, probably high B tier in my opinion, but he is cool, really a really cool character and concept, but he also costs a lot for all of this. So got the mobility, doesn't really have the defense very much, and isn't able to do maybe as much as you would like. I think if I'm feeling generous enough, I'll bump it to low A tier, but we'll see. I'm going to keep him at the top of this B tier for now. Hailfire Droid, Hailfire Droid kind of stinks. It's not bad per se. It's definitely in C tier, I think, at the very least. But the problem with the Hailfire Droid is it costs a lot. It is easy hit to hit. I mean, yes, it's a huge character, so it'll probably have cover all the time. And it has Missiles 40, which at the time was really nice. It can move pretty well. You know, the more I kind of talk about it, the more I wonder if like low B tier is actually okay for this thing. Because when I originally did this video, I put it in B tier. I think low B tier is okay. I'm going to make sure this is towards the bottom of B tier because the thing that frustrates me about it is it does cost a lot. At least it has damage reduction 10. You just got to watch out. Like, this thing could die pretty quick, which is a little scary. But Missiles 40 is pretty nice. It's just 40 damage, 50-50, everyone around him. So despite some of these limitations, I think I'll drop it. I'll keep it right where it is. A new Gunray. I've never been a fan of New Gunray. I don't think New Gunray he's bad. The only redeeming thing about New Gunray that I'm going to say, it's not even really redeeming either. You just have to use him with an all droid squad. Use him with an all droid squad so a commander effect doesn't hurt you. And then Separatist Reserves is kind of fun. Separatist Reinforcements, if you end up rolling a 1. So this guy basically costs 10, and you're hoping that you can do more. Ah, man, I think that's F tier. There's just not very many people that are going to help you out. If you have someone with recon that can help you reroll, okay, great, but like, in no way, shape, or form are you going to try to build anything around this guy. I'm just going to bump him to F tier. There's like one scenario where maybe he's interesting, but it just doesn't work for me. Super Battle Droids, so you know me. I do think these things are quite nice, quite decent, so I'm going to put them up B tier. They cost 10, and you can do all sorts of great stuff to improve them and make them a lot better. And I really like that they have Charging Fire. That's nice. They got some good mobility that's a little underutilized, but I'll leave them at that level. Super Battle Droid Commander. So these guys, on the other hand, I don't know. They're fine. They do have really nice raw stats, when it comes to like 30 damage. Their commander effect is interesting, so droid followers within 6 orders get careful shot. I'm not as crazy about this just because the Battle Droid Officer already gives +4. And yes, you could give +4 again if you want to, and that can be helpful for characters that have double, triple attack, and so forth. That definitely can be really helpful. It's just sometimes with all of the modifiers the Separatists have, it may be unnecessary because Grievous gives +4, and the Officer gives +4, and by then your guys already have like 16 attack. You don't need to keep adding to it anymore. You can look for other ways to improve. However, all that being said, I think this thing is still very solidly a B tier character. It's pretty beefy. It can do some good stuff. I'm still going to put this, I'm going to put it just below, maybe I'll put it just below the Super Battle Droid. I'll put it right above. It is pretty beefy. It is solid, but it's a B tier character still. Let's see, where did I put that? I put it in C tier. Yeah, I was a little more harsh back then. I think it's fine. Like, just on its paper, it's got some really beefy stats that's helping it out. Abyssin Black Sun Thug. So these guys really aren't that great at all. They cost quite a bit. The thing I do like about them is they have stealth, cutting attack, and they have access to some fun Black Sun stuff. And so, if you're trying to be clever, you can definitely do some interesting things with this guy, kind of. But the problem with them at the end of the day is, like, this is just really bad. I mean, 11 defense is horrible, even if you get stealth. Cutting attack and having that can be nice. It can be buffed a little bit and stuff, as you know, but I just don't think these things are very good. Sometimes I seesaw. Sometimes I think they're, like, okay-ish, and then sometimes I think they're genuinely terrible. I'm just going to probably put them probably high up on D tier. I think that's probably the best place for them. They're just, sure, you can make them work, but there's 1,000 other options that are better, and I think that defense kind of holds them back quite a bit. Although, personally, I think I'm slightly more partial towards them than other people, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is, so... Okay, so next one is this. So we got the good old Ackley here. Where do we want to put this guy? So the Ackley, okay. I think this thing's okay. It's not too bad. I think in my original video I put it in B tier. I think low B tier. So the problem with the Ackley is this. He has Savage. He does have triple attack, which is nice. So this thing can be an annoying force to be dealt with. However, if someone like a Jedi gets on top of you that doesn't even cost that much, it can really tear this thing up pretty quick. I know you have melee reach, damage reduction. That's all nice and stuff, but I think in the end of the day, this is a B tier. I think I put him a little bit higher in B tier before. I don't think should have been quite that high, but the Ackley, it's okay. It's interesting. It could be fun with certain characters. Has a lot of nice that I can do a lot of different attacking and stuff, but I'm going to just do B tier. ASP7, what do I think about this guy now? I don't think he's that great. I mean, having lift is actually kind of fun. That actually can be pretty fun power, but I'm going to probably drop this guy at the very, very bottom of, yeah, I think I'm going to just drop this guy at the very, very bottom. Drop him at bottom of C tier. Doesn't do anything for you offensively or, like, combat-wise. Industrial Repair 10's pretty weak. You know, heavy weapon kind of takes that all away. And then the lift, yeah, I don't know, kind of, it's whatever. It could be kind of interesting or fun. I don't think I hate these guys too much, so either going to be top of D tier or low C. I'll do top of D tier. I am a little biased towards them just because I remember it was my first pack I ever got back with Universe a while back, so sometimes I feel better about them than I really should, but they're fine. So Bomar Monk, these guys, so yes, Dominate is great. This guy costs 32, and even if you dominate somebody just once, I don't even know if that quite, justifies it, because it's a replace this turn. You have to be able to see the target character, so whether you wanted to dominate an ally or an enemy, either way, it's, I don't know, it's just tricky. And then that last clause of the target cannot, the character cannot move this turn, so I think at the end of the day, it's just, really, I don't think the Bomar Monk is really all that great. I think I had the Monk in A tier before, but when you really look at what's going on here, when you really look at the power, and so to do the Dominate, it's a save of 11, but no matter what, the target character can't move this turn, at least based on the reading. I haven't really used Dominate much ever. It's not that great. I'm just going to throw the Bomar Monk probably down in like low C tier. Being able to dominate's kind of interesting, but at the end of the day, it's this guy's not good. I put him in A tier before. What was I thinking? I think I thought Dominate was really much better than it really is, and so I put him up there and thought that'd be appropriate, but nah, that thing's not really very that good. Okay, the original Dash Rendar, so 21 cost, pretty lousy attack. That's terrible. Has no powers, opportunist. It's funny, some of these universe characters are really cool, but some of the universe characters are just like have blank slates. Like Neon Nub, for example, has nothing. This guy's not very good. For costing 21, I definitely would expect a character to have just a little bit something more interesting going on, not just having opportunist and that's it. So on Blue Milk, I know this guy's pretty harshly rated, which is probably appropriate, but I don't think I need to go quite that low. I'm just going to do D tier on this thing, just because, yeah, sure, you could bump it up with a couple commander effects and it becomes a little more interesting, but at the end of the day, this thing's not very good. So where is Dash Rendar? Can I even find him? There he is. Yeah, I'll put Dash Rendar top of B tier. Dr. Yvezin. This guy's he's kind of silly. A homicidal surgery is crazy. Doesn't really do anything for you attack-wise. Like, I'm just going to throw this guy down in D tier again. I don't think he's truly just the worst thing ever. Not quite F tier for me, I guess, but yeah, definitely a D tier character. Gonk Power Droid. These things are kind of fun. So the Gonk Power Droid, a little goofy, but if you set up power coupling correctly, giving extra attack, especially to somebody with twin attack, could be kind of fun, could be kind of interesting, but you just got to be careful that he doesn't get killed or blown up or something. So for that, I think I'm just going to put the Gonk right at the very top of C tier. Yeah, I think top of C tier is good. They're still a little awkward, because the speed, self-destruct, but power coupling can be nice. Guri, let's see here. Guri is an interesting character, so incredible stats. I've done a Black Sun video about her. Amazing stats. Just a little awkward because she doesn't do a ton of damage, really. You have mobile attack and double, so it's a little awkward, but Guri's a good character. I mean, I think like very top of B tier character, maybe even like a little A tier, I'm thinking. I'm not sure. I think Guri's pretty interesting, I should say, but does have some limitations where Guri will hit everybody she attacks, or he attacks or whatever, but I'm not sure about that. Let's see here, Guri, definitely top of B tier. I'm tempted to put Guri up in the A tier region, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Top of B tier for now. Maybe I'll go a little higher. I might actually just do low A tier because these are insane stats for a melee character that costs 25. Kaminoan, Ascetic, these don't do anything whatsoever, so straight to F tier. Land of Calrissian, Hero of Teneb. So this guy, I think, and I've gone over him recently in a video, is a bit obsolete. No one uses him anymore for obvious reasons. But if you just kind of take that aside and just look what he offers, he's still really good. Like, he really is. Like, the commander effect's really solid. The stats are really solid for a shooter that costs 23. So I think at the end of the day, I still think this guy is a high B tier, like a tippy top of B tier character for sure. Maybe even like low A tier. But in my opinion, I've always thought, I basically put it this way. I think Lando Calrissian is a low A tier character. However, he's been replaced in the meta by characters who are S tier, S plus tier, who do like the same thing as him, but are higher A tier or S tier. Like I said, they're just, and that's kind of the problem with him, is that he has that issue. So I think that this guy, A tier, I still feel good about putting him in A tier. A tier just means you're really good. S means you're elite, and then S plus is just you're on another level altogether. So Lobot, the original Lobot, is pretty good overall. Definitely, I think, replaced by the other Lobot, but the good thing about this Lobot is, after reinforcements, he becomes the cheapest override piece in the entire game. A bit fragile still, but still the cheapest override piece in the game, which is pretty cool, even if it doesn't have all the tricks and stuff that some of the newer Lobot has in Legacy. So I think with this Lobot, I still think it's pretty dang good. If I can find Lobot, I'm having a hard time finding characters. There we go. I think this Lobot belongs in S tier personally, just because with what Lobot really provides, and I think that can't be understated, is the fact that even though I probably won't use him ever, however, being able to have a 7-point piece, and then after you see what your opponent does, you can then maybe get something that will be a better counter to whatever that is, and then you have a 7-point override character. That's the cheapest override character in the game right there, and override's key. So the funny thing about Lobot, he doesn't get played much. I just don't feel like I see people use this Lobot literally ever, but if you just look at what he provides, it's actually pretty fantastic, even though it's kind of basic. The Nexu. What do I think about this? The Nexu is, I don't think it's that great, but I also don't think it's like too bad either. It costs 15. You can do ambush and savage, has good mobility, decent stealth, stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I think the Nexu is quite decent. I actually kind of like the Nexu maybe a little bit more than the Ackley, just because you could get like 3 of these guys for 1 Ackley, and it has some fun stuff with the stealth, I should say, and the speed. But is it that great? No. So I'm going to put it probably just barely above the Ackley for me. And yeah, I'm going to put it just barely above the Ackley. I think the Nexu's kind of fun. So, okay, Nexu right there. Man, it's so big. Okay, moving on. What did I have the Nexu originally? I think I had the Nexu in C tier. It might belong in C tier, to be honest with you, now that I think about it. Is low B tier that right? I don't know. Yeah, I'll do C tier. I think that really makes more sense. This guy, even, I don't know, it's tough. The Ackley does have damage reduction, lots of attacks, solid stats, whereas the Nexu is also decent as well, but maybe could get killed quick. I don't know. It's tough with these arena animals. I just kind of feel pretty in the middle about him. I want to make sure this guy stays top of C tier for now. Ponda Baba, okay, whatever. Still a D tier character, although I think better than Dr. Venson, just because at least he has Bounty Hunter. Can be okay, I suppose, but still very much a D tier character. Prince Caesar. This original Prince Caesar is pretty fun. So he's extremely costly. Basically, allies with stealth gain accurate shot. That's actually that's pretty sweet. A lot of these guys have stealth. And then allies with grenades 10, they gain grenades 20. And then if they have a Black Sun ability, that's where they get grenades 10 from. So great stats, just doesn't do anything for you offensively. The problem with this guy is he costs a lot to not really help you out very much. Like, he helps these guys out with his commander effect, like Black Sun guys, but at the end of the day, it's not, I don't think it's as big of a help as it really should be. And for that, I think Prince Caesar is maybe a little overrated. I don't know if overrated is the right way to say it, but I don't know. So I think what this guy is, I'm thinking either B tier or low A tier, but I think B tier is actually probably makes the most sense. Yep. I know it's kind of hard to. I used to really like this guy a lot, but the new one is just so much better. It's just cheaper, has a much better commander effect, but I think I'm going to put Prince Caesar down here, and just it's so expensive. Holy smokes. Yeah, I'm just going to put Prince Caesar right there. Okay, Rancor. This thing's pretty fun. Rancor is pretty good. I think it's also a B tier creature, maybe even a low A tier creature, and this is why. For 33, that cost isn't too bad for something this large. You have triple, good attack, great defense. You're going to have amazing defense and cover. You can regenerate a little bit. You have reach. You have decent speed. This thing's pretty good. I think I might stick this at the very top of B tier just because I don't think it's quite like an A tier level piece, but like it's got a lot of stuff to be a really ferocious, savage character to deal with. In my last one, I definitely had this guy in B tier as well, but like, it's definitely a deserving B tier. The Reek. Okay, so I think for me the Reek is probably the best of the arena creatures, just simply because you can get that charging assault, you have great attack, good defense, tons of HP. And yeah, and then with Nominor, this guy can be a lot of fun too. If not Nominor, Exarchon, this thing can be a lot of fun too. Let's see here. Let's grab this guy. I'm going to put him in B tier. I think I like this probably somewhere a little bit higher B tier, I think. In my original video, I liked the Ackley more, but the more I think about it, I think the Reeks might just be a hair more interesting, hair better. Rhodian Black Sun Vigo. So the Rhodian Black Sun Vigo is, it's good. Definitely it's not the best Vigo anymore, but Fringe Reserves is nice. At the time, that was a lot of fun. Stealth is still good, of course, double attack. And then an interesting commander effect to basically counter accurate shot whenever that could possibly come up. Not bad at all. I think this guy is still definitely a pretty solid character. I put him a low A tier before. I'm tempted to do low A tier again, but I'm going to do top of B tier right now. It's still really nice, but I think that's probably the best place for now. Shistavan and Pilot. So the Shistavan and Pilot it's just another filler character. For costing 12 and being by itself, it can get good attack twice, it's whatever. I don't know. I don't know much to say about this guy other than it's fine. I'll just do low C tier. I don't think it's like a bad character, honestly, but probably, yeah, it's not very good. Tusken Raider on Bantha. This thing's not that great either, unfortunately. Well, hold on a second. The thing that is bad about it is the fact that it's a huge base, but it has great defense. It's got nice HP. It can do some interesting things. It can both snipe and then it can both be decent in melee, like if you're next to someone, if you're charging somebody. But that 5 attack is pretty rough. So I think all in all, the Tusken Raider on Bantha, it's okay. It's kind of so-so for me. It has some pluses, some minuses, but that's some really bad attack, and it could get, even with the good defense, but it is really cheap, and you do get a lot for what it is. So I think I'm going to put it in C tier, probably at the very tippy top of C tier. No, put it right there. It doesn't cost much, and you do get a fair amount, especially as a shooter for what you're getting. So I'll do right there. Vornsker, these guys are pretty good in my opinion. Oh yeah, you do cost a fair amount, but you do have stealth, poison, paralysis. That can be nice. Jedi Hunter. I wish this thing just did a little bit more damage. That would be really nice, but they don't. So for that reason, I put them very tippy top of B tier. I'm thinking about low A tier, but I think top of B tier is fine. They cost a lot, and they don't do multiple attacks, which is a little frustrating, but I think maybe low A tier if I'm thinking about it later. I'll keep these guys on standby. Okay, so for me, this thing is definitely an A tier character. I am tempted to say S tier just because I'm so biased towards it, but I think this thing is absolutely going to be way up in A tier. Very good character. Still really good even to this day. Like, I'm tempted to say S tier just because of... I might just do that. I know it's an S tier character in the Separatists, but on any other team it isn't really S tier, it's more A tier. But molecular shielding is just such a frustrating thing to deal with. It has great stats, double, And then being a droid, it can really benefit a lot from General Grievous. I think it's my tier list video. I'm going to put it in S tier just because I want to. There you go. I'm doing it. I did it. I love the X-1 Viper droid. I'm so biased towards it. I think it's such a great piece, especially, like I said, in the Separatists. A lot of great options. ATST. So ATST is interesting. Tons of damage, but it will take damage pretty quick, especially from lightsabers and things like that. I did a squad once where I was against my cousin. He had a bunch of Wookiees, and I had a bunch of ATSTs, and I got completely and utterly dominated. It was so bad. And ever since then, I've had a really bad taste in my mouth for ATSTs. However, the ATST, though, I think it's still it's a fine machine. It's not like incredible, but that is a lot of damage. It will stay alive in a lot of situations for a while. You're not only going to use grenades 20. Having mobile attack is nice too, so I think at the end of the day, I still have to respect that, and I need to put the ATST like very tippy top of B tier, just because it has a lot of damage, but it has some significant weaknesses too, like how big it is. If people get right up next to you, you're toast. So yeah, I think that's gonna probably be the best thing for it. So tippy top of that. Let's see, my original tier list video, I had the ATST as top of B tier. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, Baron Fell. Baron Fell, it doesn't really matter too much. I've never been a fan of that commander effect for improving combined fire. I would like anything else. Costs 18, I guess has good attack and Deadeye. This guy's no good, so I think I'm gonna have to take this thing here. Oh, yeah, this thing's huge. Let's see, Baron Fell, you're going into D tier. Sorry, man, I don't think you're that good. Doesn't even have pilot, although I'm wondering if an errata gave this guy a pilot later. Nope, doesn't have pilot. Wasn't invented yet. Darkside Marauder. So I love this guy if he had double attack. He doesn't have double attack, which means he's a bit frustrating. A little bit frustrating. He could be a lot better if he just had something more. And I mentioned this in my first video as well. I think I originally put this guy in like B tier. I think the very bottom of B tier is okay for him, just because he has fantastic stats as a melee character that costs 22. A lot of melee characters with these stats might be more expensive. Has Sith Rage, but to be good, I'm just actually going to drop this thing into C tier. To be good, this thing really needs to get extra attack somehow. And with extra attack, or twin attack, it could be kind of nice. It could be kind of a nice melee piece. But because you're missing that, it's just such a hole, a big hole in his game. Dark Trooper Phase 3. One of the first characters with missiles. This guy has missiles, and then as you know, of course, this one has missiles too with Hailfire. It's okay, 25 solid stats. If you want to shoot and you have a better chance of hitting, go ahead and do it. But missiles can be nice as well. I think the Dark Trooper Phase 3 is a fun B tier character. Very interesting B tier character. I think it's appropriately right there. That looks good. Yeah, I think Darth Maul's starting to slip just a little bit more than I think he should. This Darth Maul costs so much, and he sacrifices what makes Darth Maul great to just be kind of really speedy and annoying, and he doesn't even have flight either, so it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. However, I think I'll correct it just a bit and bring it up towards top of B tier. I think that's better. Darth Vader Jedi Hunter. So this guy is really interesting. I still think this guy's an S tier character, personally. He maybe not be he's not an S plus tier character, in my opinion. Just isn't. But on the surface, you have so many things going for you. I mean, this thing can just destroy Jedis. You have the best stats. You have great powers. For force powers, you have a lot of great utility force powers, like block and deflect and sweep and grip. And then you have Force Whirlwind, which is kind of fun. But I think the thing that holds this guy back from being even of a better Darth Vader is, and the cool thing is this guy's not a commander either, so that's both kind of good and bad for different reasons. Since it's not a commander, you could find interesting ways to maybe try to buff this character, if there's any commander effects that specify followers only. The thing that holds this guy back is if he had maybe Master of the Force 2, or maybe one really good force power, and then all these other ones. But it's still an S tier character. It just is, in my opinion. So, very good. Grand Admiral Thrawn. So this guy, I mean, I'm going to put him at the top of S tier. I don't think this Thrawn is quite S+, but let me think about this. So Master Tactician is obviously awesome. Commander effect is, aside from the switching, non-unique followers within 6 squares get +3 attack, +3 defense. So the other Thrawn is just objectively has a better commander effect. Giving allies opportunists is so much better. And then this Thrawn is more expensive. You do have the Ysalamiri. I can't pronounce them, but you do have that, which can be nice, I guess. Definitely a nice deterrent for Force users. And then similar things where you have fantastic stats, but you're not going to be doing any damage yourself. So still an S tier character. A great commander effect. Still, this first section's good too. I just think that the other Thrawn is S+. So for that reason, I'm going to keep this guy just in S tier. Night Sister Sith Witch. These things are absolutely A tier in my opinion. I'm going to put them like top of A tier. So the thing about the Night Sisters that makes them so good is they're a very easy pairing with, they pair very easily with Emperor Palpatine, and these things can be, they have really solid stats. You can even do empathy stuff if you need to, if you want to find a way to bring a savage character in, and then you can choose Force Lightning over and over again with Palpatine, and for that reason I think they're really nice. So I'm gonna put them at top of A tier. Maybe we'll see if they can stay top of A tier. So, all right, Nogri. These guys, they're not very good bodyguards. There's way better bodyguard options, in my opinion. They don't, like, they have to have a lot of things going for you to attack. If you want to have them do damage, you have to not move. You have to go first. They're just Thrawn's bodyguard, too, and frankly, there's a lot of other bodyguards that are much better than this guy. So, for that reason, Nogri, you are going down into D tier. Yep, not a good bodyguard. Stormtrooper. I threw these guys in A tier in my original video. I think they're just the best grunt unit in the game, and for how great they can be with the Empire, how annoying they can be, all the ways you can modify them, the high defense, base defense, I'm just going to throw them bottom of A tier like I did before. Stormtrooper Commander. So the funny thing about the Stormtrooper Commander is this. His stats for costing 15 are actually crazy. So most shooters who cost 15 in the entire game, none of them have this level of defense, attack. Most of them will have 40 HP, but this guy also has double, and he has a really fun commander effect that I think's a little hard to utilize maybe, but if you strategize right and plan around it, I think you can make it work really well. For that reason, I think this guy's a high B tier commander, because this character chooses one adjacent non-unique follower, so a bit specific, but that character gets extra damage until this character's next turn. So that could be like 2 turns potentially on how you choose to activate. Really nice in my opinion. I'm going to drop this guy top of high B tier, maybe just behind these ones. Really good character. Admiral Akbar. So Admiral Akbar is interesting because on one hand, I do like recon. It's a trap is okay, but if you're that close to enemies with stealth, you're probably dead. You do have a lot of HP, which is good. Recon's great, and the commander effect is just kind of like a stripped down opportunist, where it's an enemy who has activated this round, +4 attack, no damage. Still a good commander effect. I think he is a good character. I just like having Recon's nice. I just wish he didn't have to see enemies. So if you're against people with accurate shot, you're in trouble anyways. But let's do this one right up here. Okay. I think he's a. Do I think he's a low A tier character? I think he's more of a top high B tier character. I think something like this is fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's a B tier character. The Bith Rebel, these guys, I think they're F tier. I have no love for them at all. Just useless. Chewbacca Rebel Hero. Chewbacca Rebel Hero. I'm very partial towards this guy. I'm gonna throw him up in A tier. I might even say like top of A tier. Yeah, maybe just behind this. Well, no, I think this is fine. Chewbacca Rebel Hero is really good. A really good character. You cost 30. You have like the most HP for any shooter in the game that costs 30. Great, solid stuff. And then you might be like the most versatile character there is at this level. You could be a bodyguard. You can, use momentum, demolish, and cleave to do a lot of damage to, charge characters and do some damage that way if you need to. You can be a gunner and with industrial repair to repair droids and other things. Although you're not a great repairer, you could do it. So I think this guy's a great. Even if you didn't have the industrial repair stuff, like everything else, I still think makes this character pretty dang good. And I'm partial towards this Chewbacca. It was the first one I picked up ever. But I think this Chewbacca is really good. I do A tier for sure. The Dracelian Commando, I think this thing is a little better than what Blue Milk says. If you are alone and you don't move, you have 9 attack, 20 damage, and you cost 14, having 50 HP is really solid. I don't think this thing is necessarily any better, though, than a C tier mini, so I'm going to drop this guy probably in C tier. I think I like this just kind of somewhere around there. That's fine. Yeah, I'd say something like this. Okay, Han Solo Rebel Hero, definitely an A tier piece in my opinion. I think Han Solo Rebel Hero is probably a little bit better than Chewbacca, so I'll give him that. But the thing I like about this guy is, you had Han Solo, and then this is the first one we had since the original. Awesome stats, super high attack, mobile, cunning, accurate, can't ask for much more than that. Has a force rating, which can be really helpful. And then commander effect is solid, a solid commander effect. So definitely not S tier, definitely not S plus tier, but a very good character for sure. Luke Skywalker on Tauntaun, this thing is a piece of crap. So sorry, Luke Skywalker. I don't think it's very good because you have used the force. So you have to spend 3 force points to roll a critical hit on 10 damage. That's so bad. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. So he's just basically, if you want to think of it this way, ignoring all that, you could say he's a shooter, but only 10 damage. That's good stats, 60, 17, and 8. That's really good stats for a shooter at this kind of cost level. But you're a large base, you do have some speed, you're better at melee, your force power is garbage. But if you don't want to use that force power, you still have 3 force points, which is nice. That is actually really nice. So on the surface, I want to throw this guy under the bus a little bit more. It really is more of a C tier character, so I'll drop it down here somewhere like this. Just because if you choose not to use the force, which is the right move, having 3 force points for all sorts of stuff is nice, but I'm still not a big fan. Still not a big fan of this. So I'm even tempted to do D tier. Oh, should I do D tier? Oh boy, it's just such a bad one in my opinion. I'm going to drop to the bottom of C tier. What did I do on my original video? I had this guy in D tier. I think I was a little too judgmental immediately and said, oh, you have Master the Force 3, that's so bad. Or not Master the Force 3, you have Use the Force. Just don't use that and just think of it as having 3 force points. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna bump him up to C tier. I think he's a little bit better than I gave him credit for. Nia Nub, boring, doesn't do anything, no powers. I'm just gonna throw this guy in F tier. Like, sure, for costing 17, those are good raw stats, I guess. They are good raw stats, but he doesn't do anything. He's not even a pilot. So there we go. Princess Leia Rebel Hero. So Princess Leia Rebel Hero is interesting. So for costing 14, decent stats for sure, especially the HP. You have force rating, got some force points. And then that's an interesting one. Whenever a follower defeats an enemy, they can move 2 squares, and this doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. It's kind of an interesting commander effect. Not bad, not great. Not a very direct use commander effect. Just kind of like an interesting extra thing you can do if your allies defeat characters. Not allies, followers. So I think at the end of this day, though, I don't think I put this character in high B tier. I don't really think high B tier is that appropriate, to be honest, for this Princess Leia. I'm actually going to do bottom of B tier because the commander effect is very conditional and specific. But it's an interesting one, though. So I'll do bottom of C tier. Or bottom of B tier. Maybe even top of C tier. It's because I think I like some. I'm just going to do C tier. I like these characters better. Wedge Antilles, not bad. So gives pilot followers evade. Very good. Has avoid defeat, evade himself, and grade 8's 10. And then you have really good stats, actually. Really, really good stats for shooters. So I think Wedge Antilles is obviously the newer one. It's kind of nice because it's a really cheap wedge. So you can kind of fit in. But this guy still, he has good stats for, he can survive. Won't do very much damage, so that's the problem with him at the end of the day. But I think Wedge is, a perfectly, a totally fine B tier character, in my opinion. I'm going to put him right there. towards the bottom of B tier. Yeah, it's just you don't do any damage, but very very survivable. Good stats. Kyla Katarn, I'm not a fan of this one. So you do have great stats. You have accurate shot, stealth, lightsaber, but you only have one attack. So one attack at 10 damage, or you can do one attack where you can do lightsaber for 20 damage. But you do have some force points. Just kind of a missed opportunity on this Kyla Katarn, in my opinion. Could have been much better than he is. So for me, I think this Kyla Katarn is more like a high C tier. Just because, like, you do have, it's tough. Like, you do have some, this is really good, but, like, you're just missing a few things to make yourself more functional. So for that reason, I think I'm going to say, like, tippy top of C tier. Around this area. I think that looks fine. Just a frustrating character for me. So, alright, Luke Skywalker Jedi Master. Luke Skywalker Jedi Master is fine. I think still I'd say an A tier worthy character, but I'll probably say somewhere like in the middle of A tier. Costs a lot. It costs one less than Darth Vader, and is objectively way worse, just way worse than Darth Vader Jedi Hunter, because Darth Vader Jedi Hunter has better stats than you. Darth Vader Jedi Hunter has more abilities than you do. He already has triple. Your commander effect is you give each ally with a force rating +1 force. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm going to bump this guy down even more. You do have force, you have leap, so okay. Saber throw, master speed. Man, this thing is really not. In my original video I did B tier. I think this thing needs to come down more. I think he's rated way too high on Blue Milk too. Yeah, something like that. It's just, this thing costs so much money for all of this stuff here, and it's not good enough. It's just it's good. It's just not good enough to justify 74 cost. I think if this character cost even 10 less, then I'm saying he's a really good character, like a really good character. But costing 74, and it's just comparing him right next to Darth Vader Jedi Hunter. It's kind of a joke. So, New Republic Commander, not bad. New Republic troopers typically have good defense, and so giving them careful shot can be okay. You have Deadeye and careful shot yourself. I'm not super excited. I don't love this particular character, but it's troopers. It's fine. So let's say I'm gonna say bottom of B tier. I think is fine. It's a fine commander, I guess. I don't know. I don't even think it's really B tier, to be honest with you. New Republic Trooper. I kind of like these things. So they cost 10, and they're just objectively better. Not objectively better. They just are really, really solid because they have advantageous cover. So you put them in cover, they got 21 cover, and they have 7 attacks. So that's actually pretty decent. I think this thing is definitely, in my opinion, I think it's a low B tier, low B tier, but not bad, not bad at all. I'm gonna put the commander right next to him. A young Jedi Knight. I don't like these guys. I don't think anybody does. They're not very good. They cost 21. They have awesome attack and night speed. But that's basically just about it. So, not the worst of the worst. I think I'm tempted to put them in D tier, but I'll say very bottom of C tier. Maybe even top of D tier. I'll do top of D tier. It is nice that they are fast and that they can attack with high precision. But that's it. They're going away that fast. They're not good. Nom Anor. This character, oh man, do I do it? I think with Nom Anor, the thing I really like about this character, he's just so good. He's definitely clearly an S tier character, but is he S plus? Ooh, I don't know. I would want to put him in S plus tier just because you cost 34, you have fantastic stats, you can shoot, which is unique for you, Sun Vong. You have Loner, which means you can shoot even better. Player on ball is nice. You have super stealth, of course. You have a really nice super stealth that has a lot of application for a lot of characters. Don't have a ton of offensive output, but definitely S tier character in my opinion. Man, I'm just trying to think if this guy is worthy of going any higher than Thrawn. I don't think he should. I don't think anyone in this is technically an S plus tier character in my opinion, but Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Definitely right up there. So, okay. War Mastered Savang Law. In my original video I did of this, I put him actually down in A tier. But the thing that's interesting with this guy, and maybe I'll have to do some sort of duel with him, and he has Crab Armor 6, and he has 200 HP. And those things melding together means this guy might end up having like functionally 300 or more HP in a game, which is pretty insane to be honest with you. Fantastic attack, and you have triple attack. So the only problem is this guy's going to very slowly kind of grind through enemies as he fights them. You do have cleave, so when you kill someone, you get to go again. You have momentum, which doesn't work well with that. I think going back, I still want to say this is like a top of A tier character, just because I find maybe low S tier, but I find the grind of how slow it is to kill somebody with this guy tricky. There are Yusun Vong characters that can make him better. However, and that is something that you have to keep in mind is, yes, he can be a little bit better with some certain Yusun Vong support units. Quite a bit better, with poison potentially. You can be quite a lot better actually instantly. So I think I'll do bottom of S tier. He's still really good. Like if you think about it, having 200 HP, good defense, force immunity as well, and then having Crab Armor 6, like it's going to take a long time to kill this thing. And in the meantime, he won't miss you. So there's that at least. But I'm still a little worried about putting him in S tier. That's why I'm putting him bottom of S tier. So much good stuff, but I'm just a little concerned about that damage output. And then Yusun Feng Subaltern, the Subaltern, I don't like these guys at all. You give Yusun Feng Warriors double attack. That can be good for the elite warriors, but for the regular warriors, it's not good in my opinion. So I think for the Yusun Feng Subalterns, probably I'm going to put them, I don't know. I think I'll probably end up just putting him in maybe C tier, like low C tier. We'll see. I think the Yusun Feng Warrior is a little bit better. I'll do C tiers, yeah. Like, cost 17, you have Razorbug, which is nice. Thudbug's always nice. You have good Crab Armor in 11. So I'll put it there. The Yusun Feng Warrior, I like these guys for having... They do have Crab Armor 16, which isn't going to work very well. Thudbug's always a fun thing to use to just kind of do the activations. But definitely more of like a high D tier or C tier unit. I don't think these things are very good, in my opinion. I've never really thought much of these ones, but I'll do bottom of C tier. It'd be nice. Okay, though I didn't miss the Flash Speeder. It's probably at the very beginning of this entire list of stuff. So let's go all the way back, find that Flash Speeder, and then we're done. Yeah, I missed it. So Flash Speeder, it's one of the few mounted weapon characters for Republic. It's solid. It can fly, has mobile, and speed 12. Those are all really good combinations of things. However, you have 80 HP. You don't have any way to maybe absorb some of that damage, so you could die kind of quick. Actually, you could die pretty quick. So I think the problem with this thing is this. You cost 41. You have a huge base, so it's going to be hard to utilize that, maybe utilize that hit and run to its fullest potential. You still do a lot of damage. You don't have a lot of support because of the team you're on. I think ultimately this thing is tricky to rate because there's things I like about it, and there's also some things that are like big drawbacks that kind of hurt a little bit. So I think for that, I'm going to put it down in just bottom of C tier. I don't think it should necessarily go anything worse than that. I think it's been too harshly rated, in my opinion, on Blue Milk. However, that being said, I think bumping it up to C tier is fine. I put it in B tier before. It shouldn't be in B tier. So I think having it in C tier makes a lot more sense. So, okay, this is my list. So no S pluses. I didn't feel quite good about any of these ones being up there, although these two are definitely possibly deserving of maybe being an S plus tier. Definitely S tier characters. Man, I'm tempted to just do it. There's not very many of them, but Nominor is just so good in my opinion. But these guys are S tiers. You got your A tiers. Most characters, I'd say a lot of solid B tier ones. C tier down here, and then a lot of D and F. I didn't have too many D and F in the last ones, but there's some doozies in this set sometimes. So this set's got everything. Anyway, I've already been going on for way too long. This video is longer than the original. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like, comment, and subscribe down below. And until next time, have a good one.